I just want to draw our attention to a couple of other articles in the Foundational Treaty of Rome, again to get at the values of the Union. Article 6 specifies that the Union is founded on the principles of liberty, democracy, respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms, and the rule of law, principles which are common to the member states. Paragraph 6.2 specifies that the Union is founded on respect for fundamental rights, as guaranteed by the European Convention, and the constitutional traditions common to the member states. Let's just pause for a minute and think about what this article is telling us, Article 6. The Union is founded on the principles of liberty, democracy, and respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms, including the rule of law. Now, interestingly, these principles are common to the member states. In other words, what we're trying to define here is a kind of European heritage, a set of values which are common to the different national traditions of the nations that make up the European Union. Are these values common to the member states? I mean, if one reflects on what happened in Germany, what arguably leads to the Second World War, in other words, the collapse of a democracy, it might suggest that these values are perhaps more tentative, more fragile, perhaps not part of, or at least viewed one way, there is a tendency for these values to collapse within national traditions. So perhaps what the Union is talking about here is the need to strengthen these national traditions through some kind of supranational organisation which is committed to these principles. It begs the question, of course, how the idea of democracy, which is traditionally and conventionally expressed in relation to national institutions, works itself out in relation to supranational institutions. That is why I think I suggested that we have to see the Union as a work in progress. Democracy has tended to be thought of to create institutions at a national level. How something that goes beyond the national, that includes numerous nations, how we can then talk about the commitment of such a set of institutions to democracy, in a sense, remains to be seen. We could say similar things in relation to the rule of law. The rule of law tends to be worked out with reference to a national legal tradition. What sense the rule of law then makes in relation to a supranational legal tradition remains to be seen. These seem to me the pressing questions to ask about the nature of the European Union. Note that 6.2 refers to respect for fundamental rights as guaranteed by the European Convention and the constitutional traditions common to the member states. Obviously, the Convention and the Union are not meant to pull apart. They're part, arguably, of the same desire to reconstruct Europe after the Second World War. The things are meant to be compatible. All I have been warning against is confusing the two. Yes, there's an overlap between these bodies of law, but they are distinct bodies of law. This brings me to the next point, or set of points that I want to make about the Union. And I guess it's imminent, it's involved in what I've been talking about so far, i.e. the nature of the Union as something supranational, something beyond the nation state. This takes us then to an analysis of the institutions that serve the Union. Now, let's go back to the 1957 Treaty of Rome, which seems to me a good place to start in defining and working out what these institutions are. Article 3 specifies that the Union shall be served by a single institutional framework which shall ensure the consistency and continuity of the activities of the Union. The central institutions of the Union are the European Commission, the Council of the European Union, the European Parliament, and the European Court of Justice.